You don't need to be Tony Robbins to make millions selling personal development. I've helped dozens do it, and in this video, I'll show you how to do it as well. My name's Dan Henry. I've made $35 million with my online business, and I make videos showing you how to have success as well. So this book just came in from one of my clients who has made multiple millions selling personal development. Now, John Whiting, who wrote this book, when he came to me, he had a great product. He's very good at what he does, but like many, he struggled to package and market it. And once I stepped in, we were able to get that absolutely smashing. So let me quickly read you the note that he put in this book. Dan, since working together, I've been able to buy my dream home, become an official millionaire, and can confidently say that pound for pound, I've gotten the most out of working with you than anyone else. Eternally grateful, always in your corner and here to help in any way. With gratitude, John. When I get stuff like this in the mail, it's better than any amount of money I could ever make. And by the way, I'll leave a link in the description if you want to buy John's book. His stuff is amazing. Now, let me show you the principles I showed John that made his marketing amazing so that you can make your marketing amazing as well. All right, so personal development. Now, this system I'm about to show you is the same exact system that Tony Robbins uses, Jim Rohn, well, he's dead, but you get the point, and that you can use to sell personal development, and for that matter, anything. So most personal development offers or people that promote it start out with a vague promise. Now, when I say vague promise, I'm talking about something like how to gain more confidence, how to level up in life. That doesn't mean shit. It means nothing. Now, if you are Tony Robbins, you can say whatever vague crap you want and you will sell, but you're not Tony Robbins, you don't have millions and millions and millions of followers, and so you're gonna have to actually market properly to make sales. But you will notice as I break this down, and I will give you Tony's system as an example, that he actually does follow these rules. And so we wanna stop with the vague promises. I'll help you get more confidence. We want to turn that into a specific outcome, not a vague promise. So why do they want confidence? And we're just using confidence as an example. There are so many different ways that a person's life can improve by getting more confidence. You're going to have to pick one because that is how you market. So for instance, you could target men who don't know how to talk to women because they have low confidence, and if they learned how to talk to women, they could get a girlfriend, potentially get married. Or it could be something like asking your boss for a raise. Or it could be something like having the confidence to close the deal on the phone and not crumble. There are a ton of different things that you could choose as a specific outcome for a specific audience by increasing confidence. And so you don't become the confidence guy, you become the guy that gets them the girl, gets them a raise, gets a specific outcome by increasing their confidence. You have to flip it, okay? So here's how Tony does this. Tony follows a classic pattern where he starts with a specific outcome, and the specific outcome for Tony is live a happier life. Literally, that's what he promises. You will be happier. Pretty basic, pretty classic and simple. Now, how do you do that? How do you live a happier life? Well, he will compare, and this is what I taught John, this is what all marketing does. It compares an old path with a new path. So most personal development or psychologists or therapists tell you that you need to think differently, change your beliefs, journal, meditate. Tony flips it around and says, no, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. Old path doesn't work. He says you need to change your state. You need to use and learn state control. So that is actually Tony's new path. State control. That's his whole thing. Everything he does centers around state control. And so what does that mean? It means if you can get in the right state, both mentally and physically, you will naturally act differently. Now, in order to show that this new path, state control, is effective and is more effective than the old path, what we have to do is we have to teach lessons, principles, etc., that support this as being superior. And so, for instance, what Tony does is one of the ones that he'll share is your state determines your decisions, and your decisions determine your life. Basically, he's saying like, look, if you make good decisions, well, then you're gonna have a good life. That's obvious, right? So if you're in a bad state, if you're angry, if you're frustrated, you're probably gonna make bad decisions. But if you're in a good state, you're happy, you're full of gratitude, you're probably gonna make good decisions. So if we can control the state you're in, everything else will trickle down, and eventually we'll get to, we have a good life, we're happy. So you see how he does that very systematically? And so he'll share a principle like that, and then he'll share another one and another one. Usually you need at least 3. Tony has, my God, dozens. And so by the time in the marketing, in the content, in the sales videos, in the event, in the podcast, in the blog, you hear this stuff, at a certain point, you're gonna say to yourself, dang it, if I can just control my state, if I can just become a master of state control, well, then I can get the specific outcome, which is I'll be happy. And so in this case, Tony says, you'll be happy. Journaling and meditation, all this crap doesn't work. Instead, just master state control. And if you can master state control, you'll be happy. And here are all the reasons why state control works. He doesn't tell you how to do it until you buy stuff from him. But in his marketing, he tells you what it is, why it works, and when to do it. For instance, he'll say, and I heard him on YouTube, I believe, just the other day say this, he said, here's an instant way to stop being angry. When you get angry, just stop and think of something you're grateful for, and just practice gratitude. Why does this work? It works because the human mind cannot be grateful and angry at the same time. It's physically impossible for the human mind to be grateful and angry at the same time. Now, I'll be honest with you, I have no idea if that's true. Could be total bullshit. Doesn't matter. The point is, that's what he said, and the people listening go, oh, that makes sense. So by him saying all you have to do is be grateful for something, boom, anger's gone. So you see how he really supports this idea. And by the way, that does sound like it would work. I'll try it sometime when I get pissed off at the taxi driver that loses my friggin' destination. But point is that all you have to do is come up with your new path. Now, I'm not telling you to copy Tony, because that would be really crappy of you. Do your own thing. But the point is, you need to come up with your own way to explain what the new path is, your own proprietary thing, your shtick. And for Tony, it's state control. Now, when I do my live online events, and I do like pitch reviews and I work with people live, there'd be so many times someone will come on with a spiritual offer, a personal development offer, and I'll help them come up with one of these on the spot for their personal development offer. So if you get a chance to attend one of my live online events, make sure you do. I'll leave a link in the description. And so that's all you have to do is you have to come up with this and then ways to explain it. But it all starts with picking a specific outcome. Well, Dan, I want to help people with confidence because it can change their life and there's so many different things I can help them with. Great, that's amazing, you're right. But that's not what's gonna sell. People, when you're starting out and you're new and you haven't built a big brand yet, people want to sink their teeth into a tangible, realistic transformation in your life, right? And that's what this entire marketing process is called. It's called the transformational loop. So here's the pitch. Hey, do you want to be more happy? Do you want to live a happier life? Well, what if I told you that journaling and meditation and all this stuff doesn't work? And you've probably seen that it doesn't work. Let me throw in a little banana hand clap. What if I told you that you only have to master one thing to be happy, and that's this little thing called state control. State control is where you control the state you're in. Now, why would this work? Well, and I'll only do one. Well, think about it this way. If you make good decisions, would you not live a better life? Would good things happen to you in your life? Well, if good things happen to you in your life, you would be happy, right? So how do we make good decisions? Well, if you're angry or you're depressed, you're probably gonna make bad decisions, right? Right. So if you're happy and you're calm, you probably make good decisions, right? Okay, great. So if you're calm and you make better decisions, how do we get you more calm more times and less angry less times? Well, we control our state. Once we can control our state, then we can control our decisions. And once we can control our decisions, then we can control the outcome of our life. And when we control the outcome of our life, we can be happy. So you see how it looped? It started with the specific outcome. I told you why the old path didn't work. I explained the new path, which is state control. I explain one reason why state control works. I could explain more. And then I loop it back to the specific outcome. So again, hey, do you suck with women? Do you start pissing your pants every time you see a woman with even a centimeter of cleavage? Well, let me tell you how to fix that. You might think that learning these pickup artist techniques will work, but here's why that doesn't work. Even if it did, you still have to have confidence in order to do it. And so, in order to develop confidence, you have to become what I call a role play master. What's a role play master? Well, think about it like this. If you never boxed before and you got in there and you started punching, you'd probably feel pretty nervous, especially if the other guy on the other end of the ring has been boxing for a couple years. And so now you naturally feel less confident. Why? Well, because this is your first time in the ring, right? And when you go to talk to a girl, you probably haven't done that a lot. And so it's your first time in the ring. So what you need to do is develop a system where you can role play with yourself or a friend to develop confidence and basically spar, so that when you go and you actually interact with a woman, you at least have that mind programming that already tells you, hey, this is what I feel like in this situation. This is what I say in this situation. This is not that unfamiliar, because it's being unfamiliar that creates a lack of competence and confidence. So if you feel familiar with the situation, you will naturally feel more confident. And if you feel more confident, you will get the girl. So basically, and this is probably a terrible pitch, but the point is it illustrates that if you come up with this idea that you need to make yourself feel familiar by mastering role play, and I'll give you my role play system where you learn how to, all these exercises you can do or something, boom. Tony sells you on an event where he takes you through how to control your state. So it starts with a specific outcome, throws rocks at an old path, creates a new path, the reasons why the new path works, then says, hey, you'll get your specific outcome, and finally, do you want to master this thing? Well, then buy my product to help master this thing. So what they're really doing is selling you on the new path first, and once you fully adopt the new path and you're like, this is the secret, this is what's gonna get me this, then you sell your personal development offer, which should be framed as a way to master the new path. Watch this video 50 times if you have to, but this is exactly how Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, and all the best personal development people create a message that sells to the market at massive scale, and how you can do. And one more final tip. Once you develop this, just keep saying it over and over again. Jim Rohn himself said, if you have something good to say it often and you'll be successful. If you want help developing your own marketing system for your offer, I'll leave a link in the description that explains what it's like to work with me. I'll see you in the next video.